2, 1. Hey folks, welcome back to the Mañana No Mas podcast. I'm thrilled today because we've got some special guests, and you know that I get excited when I have guests on the show. Today, I would like to introduce you to Sherri and Lou from the Lou Everett Group. We've got some similarities in our backgrounds for training and certifications and things, but as you know, it's such a big universe, and it's excellent to talk to people that have a different take on things. And I loved when I had a conversation with Sherri, and so we decided to bring it all into the show. Sherri,
Awesome.
Lou, welcome to the show. Tell us something about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Kurt.
Thanks, Kurt. Yeah, it's so nice to see each other again. So this is awesome. So thank you for your time.
Oh, it's great. It's great.
So we've, my friend, why don't you go ahead and tell them about us, because you're good at it.
Alrighty. So we are the Lou Everett Group. Yes, we are husband and wife duo, and we are executive leadership coaches and trainers and speakers. So we really focus on leadership and effective communication for small businesses. We help with the scarcity mindset, switch it from that to an abundance mindset on effective teams, and also solo entrepreneurs too. So we can't forget them, but mostly teams that we help in that clear back the weeds so they can focus on their business.
Mm-hmm. And what's nice about that, as we were talking about this earlier, Kurt, you had mentioned that, a lot of us know what we might need to do. And sometimes we just get so wrapped up in the day-to-day things that we need clarity. And so that's where we come in to help with that clarity piece, just to get you back on that path of true solid leadership, whether it's leading yourself, whether it's leading your business, or whether it's leading a group, a team of people. We recently also we do a lot of corporate training, and we've added a diversity and inclusion program. We've partnered with Joshua Rich, who is just a leader in the diversity and inclusion aspect of things. And so we've strategically placed ourselves with leaders and experts in the D&I space. So that's a little bit about what we do.
Nice. Now you guys mentioned a couple of keywords that I want to explore a little bit if we can.
Sure.
The first one was mindset. So, Sherri hit on that. She said, well, we work with mindset. And I'll tell you, with my audience, mindset is not just a first step. It's like a giant leap. In my particular niche, it's almost like the obstacle is they think they're business people at a certain level, but they're just, and they're not dumb people. They haven't made those steps. They haven't had any real formal training. And so what we might think might be a step is actually a leap. Can you talk to me about what mindset looks like with the types of small businesses you work with?
You've hit it pretty much on the head there.
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know.
That's right.
We say that quite frequently.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And the thing is, and you're right, people that we work with, the same thing. They're not dumb. They're solid, strong, intelligent business people. But I will tell you that when I started in my career as a leader about 28 years ago, I was dumb, and I made a lot of dumb decisions. But it wasn't that I was ignorant of what I needed to do. I wasn't that I was dumb. I was ignorant of what I needed to do. So let me clarify that, because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And it was only until strong leaders that I was able to look up to, that coached me, guided me, mentored me to become a solid leader, that I realized, wow, this is what I needed to get there. So I didn't have to fight the battle by myself the whole time. So the mindset has a lot to do with that, because it all starts with, I need to really begin to think I might not know something, and then rely upon people that and your resources around you that can help you. So then that way you get from here to there faster. Why would we not? And the best way to do that is resources, right? And so it all starts here. It all starts with how we think. And you said it. You hit it right on the head, Kurt. It's a daily event. It's sometimes a minute by minute, an hour by hour, especially until we build up a habit, right? Because once the habit is formed, then almost everything that happens around us, when we become aware, we can almost instantly make a decision and make a call without realizing that we're actually going through the process of the mindset and the focus and pausing for a second to see clarity. So that's really the value and importance. So same with our clients. We call our clients partners, by the way.
Okay.
Because we're partnering with them with success and their success, really. They're the ones that are putting in the work and are willing to say, I need you for some guidance. And that takes a lot of guts. And it also takes the right mindset, right? The right view that we do need resources to help us through it. So we see the same thing. People aren't stupid. We're not telling you or anybody else what you don't know already. But the question is not, you don't say, hey, I already know this. I've heard this before. It's how well do I do it? Right?
Yeah. It's taking it from the brain to the heart brain, right? It's being able to feel the knowledge and then experience or go through the step. And what's so weird is I find myself as older and older I get, I find myself like talking in terms of like, pyramids and crystals and stuff sometimes, right? And that's not my faith set. That's not my belief set. But when I catch myself saying things like, no, you might know it, but you have to feel it. Like you have to feel it, experience, do it. You have to experience the win. You can't describe the win, right? Like you could tell somebody all day long, hire me and I can get you this result. Hire me, I can get you this result. Hire me, I can get you this result. And they're just like, yeah, whatever. And half the time they don't even think they need the result or they want to do the work to get the result. And then you show them one little step and they're like, oh.
Yeah. The aha moment, right?
Yeah, it's so weird.
And you're right. It's sometimes it feels new agey.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's not new agey at all. It's what I call human. And we need people, and people, our resources, the people around us, can help us see things that we said we will. I've said it before. It's like, man, I knew that, but how come I didn't know that?
Yeah.
To do that now. That's why. But you're right. It's the seeing and the feeling that causes you to believe, which causes action. Right. And that's not new agey. That's human. That's how our brain works, is that we need to see it, feel it, believe it. That's what causes the action. And that's what we do. That's what you do, right? We're here to help people to see it, feel it, believe it, so that they can see the action and the transition moving along the way.
Yeah. I mean, what you just described, at the risk of sounding too religious, is, to me, that's the benefit of reading scripture more than once, because the meaning evolves, right? For each individual person, something changes. Or I could read a personal development book a second or a third time and go, oh yeah, that's okay.
That's right.
I missed that. I read it, but I missed it.
That's
So,
right. That's right.
I'm gonna tag on to a couple more of Sherri's words. She also mentioned, and it's one of my favorite sayings, right? Take someone from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. But I'm interested to know, in your client base, in your personal experience, do you find that the abundance is more tangible or intangible? And what I mean by that is, are your clients, everyone starts out thinking they need to make an extra $1 million this year, right? So that's what I mean. Is it more tangible, or do you find the real value is intangible, as in they go from managing to leading, and emotionally they're more grounded, and those types of things?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Did you want to take that one?
Yeah. Well, we have one of our clients that she's amazing, because she started out with us last fall at about 3 clients at the time. And she had a brand new part-timer.
She
just hired her. She didn't know if she was going to pay her or not, like
to be able to. Yeah.
And within,
I don't know if I'm going to pay you or not.
Like, I'm going to hire you.
I'm going to hire you, but and
so she was worried.
She was definitely worried with that. So within like 3 months of being with us, she actually was able to pay her without any issues, and was able to double her business at that time.
Yeah, 200% growth in 3 months.
Wow.
Just in client base.
Yeah. So I guess that's where the tangible comes in, because she did want to, have more clients just to reach out. So there's the tangible piece. But then here,
that's almost like a after effect, right?
Yeah, it was, because she had to teach herself and be a part of more of the personal development of how to now, working with the employee standpoint, like, well, instead of flying off the hook because of this new assistant or new employee was doing all these things that were wrong, how do I handle that instead of flying off the handle, right? So with us and coaching her to the going back and forth, like, well, how would you handle it? And asking the right questions and not us telling her what to do, but finding out through her own way. Then she was able to handle a situation, and many situations actually with this, with her employee, the best way. That now she's thriving, she's moving forward. Now, building her to be a leader.
400% increase within a year in her business. Now, and that's right. The tangible piece is kind of like the side effect of the intangible growth, right?
Yeah.
Because the way I don't think, we don't have, as humans, we don't have difficulty saying and having a goal, right? We're always asked, what's your goals? Well, we've been boxed in our whole life about this whole goal thing, right?
Yeah.
So we set a goal and say, okay, well, our goals, I can envision my business being, 15 employees, 20 employees, whatever it might be, and me working part-time on my beach house, right? We can sit down and come up with that plan because and it feels good, right? When we can see that a little bit. But what the issue is what steps do you got to do to get there? And so with this particular partner of ours, this client, it was a matter of adjusting how she thought she needed to do to get there. Because now the question is, okay, this is great. You have an amazing plan, because the first thing we do is sit down and we go over that. We have a history of your future session, or we sit there and go through this whole journey of 10 years into the future of what it looks like and steps that you took to get there because you're successful. And then we can step back and say, okay, now you've created steps to get there.
Yeah.
Now can you see it? Now can you feel it? Because then all of a sudden, like you said, Kurt, when you can see it, you can feel it, you begin to believe it. And then we take action steps. So the intangible piece is being able to take what you just said, the seeing, the believing, the feeling, and really making that a part of who you are. Because then every day you go towards that direction. Is the only way that she was able to get a 400% increase in revenue in her business and her growth in clients. She went from 3 clients. Now she's at 25, I think 28 clients. And so you only get there because she invested in her intangible gifts of who she already was, what she already knew, but she needed to expand on that in her belief system to understand that I can do this. And then accountability. I don't know about you, Kurt. I'm terrible at holding myself accountable. We need other people sometimes to do that. Sometimes I can on some things, on things I can't. So we need people. And that is what helped her. So they're both, the intangible leads to tangible results.
Nice. You guys are, I'm telling you, the wheels up here are just ripping. Having 2 people on at the same time might be too much for me. I'm a simple man.
Like mind blown.
I think we've been told that before.
So as I'm listening to you, and you mentioned accountability, right? And then we talk about, coaching versus training, which I know you didn't use that term, but that's what I heard as Sherri was describing, having them answer their own questions and not telling them what to do, but asking them what to do, right? Is there a point in time during your coaching where you identify with a certain percentage of clients or partners that they're workaholics and that they're working harder but not smarter, and that intangible is actually pull back a little bit, give yourself a break, and then let something unfold? Have you run into that?
All the time.
Yeah.
Solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, that the reason that we're successful is because we're just workers. And sometimes we get crowded in with all the work that we're doing because we know we've been taught and trained to believe, or whatever way we believe, that by just as long as we're doing, then we're going to get results,
Yeah.
which has its place, because you have to move and have action for results. However, we have had that where it's like, and we know You know, we can sit there and say, we know in our mind, they need to step back here so they could really see what it is. And that's our role, to help them pull that back without telling them, you just need a break.
Yeah.
Because when you can convince when you know that you've made the call and you've realized something on your own, you're more apt to follow it, aren't you? Because it's your decision, it's your call. Yeah. And so that's what we do. So what do we ask them things like this, Kurt. So you're putting in 80 hours, or even if they didn't come up with 80 hours, so how many hours do you think you put in this week?
40, 50.
Right? 40, 50. Say, so 40, 50, you be closer to 50, you think? And usually you can add on. Yeah. So you get closer to 50. You actually went on thinking about it. I did that. And that night. So next thing you know, said, okay, so you've put in all those hours in. That's great. Do you have any development time? Well, what do you mean? Well, have you set aside time to develop you? Because, the reality of it is we are only able to give at the limit of our growth. You can't give any more than that. You can continuously spin the wheel like a hamster.
Yeah.
But you're still only going to go in this space. So you've got to grow for this to grow, right? So we have that happen a lot, and it's a matter of just helping them see it. For them to say, you're right. Matter of fact, we had a partner, another client that she very busy, and Sherri says, so when do you have space?
Yeah.
We use that word space a lot.
Yeah.
When do you have space? And the answer is generally, I don't know. So do you have space? Do you block it in your calendar? And that's always another question, right? No. Calendar. Nobody even blocks lunches and space and calendar. It's always work, if you block anything at all.
Yeah.
So when she blocked the space, next thing you know, we're on social. She's taken off. She's like, you know what? She says, I made a decision. I needed a break. So she got in her car and went and visited friends, and she went away for the weekend and just cleared the air. And she came back, and she's a rock star. Yeah. But she made the decision. You see? So I hope that kind of was the direction you were going there, but I wanted to bring in that because we need space.
It's one of those things, Lou, that it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'll say 2015 through 17. I was working a corporate job, and it was a dream job. It was a fantastic job, but the truth was I wasn't happy. It was one of those, you got what you wanted, and now you realized, there's too much garbage with the dream, right? Came with a corporate credit card and all kinds of travel. I could eat and drink whatever I wanted, and just swipe the card and go from one restaurant to the next restaurant to the next restaurant, and and work with clients. And man, I got big. I got really big. I'm only 5'8", and I had a hard time fitting on the airplane, in between the armrests once. And I said, that's it. I mean, if I can't sit on an airplane, which is my mode of transportation with this job, it's out of control. And so I made the decision, and that's when I followed through and did the John Maxwell certification. And then I took a different corporate position that had less travel. And I said, you know what? We got to do whatever it takes to drop this weight. And so we did. I dropped 60 pounds or so, and then got back into the bicycling. And that's the weirdest part. It was like, when you dedicate that time and you don't feel guilty about it, because I think that's the biggest problem for a solopreneur is you think you're doing something for you and you feel guilty about it. But then I realized I can only succeed as much as my body will let me. Like if I'm tired in a meeting, I'm not going to be effective.
Right.
And I found the more that I bicycled and the more that I ran Spartan races, the more energy I had during that work time. And so what you said about blocking time and calendaring and stuff like that was so important. And I look at the strides I've made since 2017, and I go, oh my goodness, I got to tell everybody about this. Like, it's amazing.
No, agreed. It's amazing how, and it wasn't until you realized it and said, man, I gotta make a change. Yeah. And then you made that space, and you mentioned something there, Kurt, and about as entrepreneurs, or as not just entrepreneurs, even just business people in general, and family members, right? Husbands and wives that have kids and a family, we tend to feel guilty about investing in ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And you make a valid point. And I mentioned this, I think I mentioned this earlier. You can only give to people what you have to give.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to give more, we hear this a lot,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want to invest in that mastermind, or I don't want to invest in.
Right.
Understood. Why? Well, because, and we did a poll on this.
Yeah,
Sherri ran
a poll that we recently
on
did
social
and,
on determining that. Like,
right. They're like, if, what would hold you back or hold someone back? I didn't want to be specific, but I was like,
invest in personal growth.
Yeah. What would hold somebody back from investing in personal growth?
And what would hold you back, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned things like one was money.
Yeah, one was money and one was time.
And then I forget what the other one was.
Yeah.
But the reason is because 65% of, we did 2 polls, said money.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we followed it up with the question is, okay, what if money wasn't an object? What if it was free?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, well, then the guilty thing. Well, I'd rather spend that time and invest this into my family or into this, into something else, because they felt guilty. They felt they weren't worthy. It was self-worth.
Right. It's also value themselves.
The value.
It really boils down to what we find on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't value yourself, how are other people going to value what you have?
Mm-hmm.
So it was an interesting poll because if money was not even an object, then it was like, oh, it's a time factor. And then there was the guilt factor. And they're like, well, I'm like,
the more you dig.
But what if there was so much other, because then there's a fear barrier, right? Then there's the terror barrier. And if you go beyond the fear, there's so much more opportunity. But because it's so common for all of us to get stuck there, we just need people like us and you, Kurt, too, that to push people in that right direction to say, no, there's more beyond this terror barrier. There's, you gotta, there's so much about that until you learn it and believe it and live it and walk the walk that you're like, no, let's scream this to the rooftops because there is so much power into it and that value. So it's interesting how
very true.
As much as people know they should be doing and value themselves, we hear it all the time, right? But when they live it, that's a different story. Then it finally clicks. Then they're finally like, well, what was I so scared about?
Right.
Exactly.
You see, adding value, in order to add value to other people, you have to add value to yourself first.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you valuable, right? I mean, it just does. If we have 2 children, they're grown, and we have 2 grandchildren. And so we understand the challenge of sacrifice for your family, and that's necessary. We've got to sacrifice for our family, but to be successful in business and in life, especially for your children and your family, you want to give them more. We all want to give more than that's what we always want to do, right? We want to give them more, but if you don't have more to give, then you're limited. So by investing in you, you can stick around, you'll be there for them. You'll be able to help them. So that's a big part of what this poll told us is that, man, there is this challenge with self-value, that you're not worth the time, that other things are worth more of your time, which is understandable. But you've got to invest first in you. You can't lead your family. Leadership, it's what it comes down to. Whether not just leading a company, but even leading your family. Yeah. Okay, you've got to lead yourself first. That you have to. And as you found, it's uncomfortable at first.
Right. I like the the present that we use.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy.
So the analogy that we like to use often is that imagine that you have this beautiful present and you wrap it up, you have all the bells and whistles on it, and then you never give it to anyone.
Right. You just hold on to it because you're just afraid for whatever reason. So you've got this beautifully wrapped gift that you've invested in and you're just not giving it. And that's you. That's us. Yeah. We have something we can give more of. We just need to invest in it.
And that is a perfect segue. Why don't you share with my audience what your present is that you're sharing? You guys have a mastermind or a program that you're working on right now. So I'd like to give you a chance to share with the folks about that.
Yeah, awesome.
Let's start with the mastermind.
Yeah, we've got a mastermind alliance that we started, and we're actually going into our third session tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But the great thing about this mastermind alliance, and it's a mastermind alliance of choosing a life that matters.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big deal, choosing a life that matters. And we go into things like we're talking about self-worth and understanding value and purpose and what is your why, how to find your why. And just because it started 3 weeks ago, that leads into another thing that we've added onto this for anyone that comes in is you can start tomorrow, which actually we had someone that say, oh, I want to start tomorrow because we have an online platform that all those sessions are recorded. It's got and we've got material out there for this mastermind alliance. It's 10 weeks. So then we're all busy and we have families. So if you miss one, it's okay. We put it up there for you, just for you to watch. So we have that as a segment. And on top of it, we have an online training platform that's separate from that on leadership, personal growth, development, communication. We have a mindset minute piece we do that's out there, a whole bunch of cool stuff that helps with development, broken up into small little bite-sized pieces with worksheets and accountability. That's also, we actually gift that to anyone who joins this mastermind alliance for 10 weeks. So they have that for the 10-week period as well. And I hope that they would continue on this learning platform because that learning platform is added on every single week. So it's always in content.
And there's also a community that's part of this program, or it's not a program, it's a platform that we have designed, that we have live bi-weekly trainings and live bi-weekly roundtable experience. So the people get to experience of that accountability or just have a safe space that they can actually be connected and learn.
Almost like a group coaching, if you will. We don't call it that, but that's kind of what it's like, you know. So you get the recorded trainings and live. So depending on what you want for that week. And then the live ones are recorded and also uploaded for you to look at. So those are some big things we have going on right now that we're trying to do to add value to other people in their growth as well. So you'll always have connection and interaction with us as the trainers in this entire process of the online platform.
Nice. And so who would be, you know, it's easy to say, well, I want to train everybody, right? But like where do you see your sweet spot? Like have you heard the term avatar before?
Yeah.
Like, who's your avatar, right?
Yeah, that's a new term now.
Yeah. Throw that out there. Like what does the perfect coaching client look like to the Everett Group?
Yes. Well, we've got we have two tracks a little bit there. We love solopreneurs, solo entrepreneurs. We love them because they come to us and that tends to be where we're working with a lot. But they're growing because we work with them and they grow into having their own employees.
And being solo entrepreneurs from our own background, and also this is not our first rodeo of businesses. So we always have that soft spot, and we always believe right from the get-go that just because that we're executive corporate trainers and coaches doesn't mean that the solo entrepreneurs can't access those tools.
They need them
because they need them. You know, we work with their budgets. We really give them the best value for where they are.
Right.
You know, so that's why
we come to that. That's a good point. We come to where they are.
Right.
Uh-oh.
I didn't have the heart to tell him that his internet connection had failed and nobody could hear him. But man, he was on a tear.
Let me check that.
So to provide the leadership development piece for middle management and above, or the team environment for communication. So it seems like a broad spectrum, but if you look at it, you always start off small in a business and your goal is always to be big. And so we help them grow to where they want to be. And if they're already there and they're having challenges in that communication aspect, or having challenges, and I need someone to come in here and train us on diversity and inclusion, or train us on this team on finding out where the missteps are. We have that experience and we can do that as well. But if we were to say our sweet spot, let's get specific, right?
Yeah.
Small to medium-sized businesses. Small to medium-sized businesses, anywhere from 2.5 up to $10 million in revenue. That's our sweet spot. The reason we bring up revenue is because then they have teams,
Yeah.
developing teams, right? And that is our expertise, is helping to develop and train teams and then their managers to become solid leaders. Our coaching aspect the same way. We bring in, we've coached executive level. We've coached solopreneurs, generally that have been in business for a couple of years, and they're ready to be built. So I hope that answers your question on that.
It does. It's so interesting to me because I can remember way back when Mañana No Mas was just starting out, right? And I was working at the South Valley Economic Development Center. So I was getting a lot of referrals from brand new startup businesses. And, when you talk about solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, I mean, I was inundated with these people. Did I say that right? I think I said that right. And the people that ran the Economic Development Center, they would really push people because, obviously their job is economic development. And so they would say, if you're a solopreneur, what you've really done is just invented a job. You haven't created legacy or freedom, or because you've created something that you're beholden to, right? Like you've just given yourself a jail. But if you grow this as a business and you create jobs for others, well, then you've created what you alluded to, teams and leadership and structure and all of that. Right. And that extension of that conversation actually led to a partner experience I had with one of my clients that really changed my perception of things. Older gentleman, had a business for a long time, had a small team of people, but he never left the business for decades because he thought he ran it. You know what I mean? Like after decades, he began to really resent that business. It didn't have enough capital to really sell it. There was so much inventory. It would have been almost an insurmountable task to try and, categorize it and sell it or auction it. The market wasn't really bringing buyers for the business. And then when he consulted with me, we used the coaching techniques. And I said, what is your real goal? What's your root cause? What are you really after? Right. And talking about tangible versus intangible, he didn't want the business to grow. He wanted the business to release its tentacles from him. He wanted the talons released out of his shoulders. Like he felt like a mouse in an eagle's claw, right? And so I said, well, let me come down to the business and do kind of a needs assessment, And I said, that guy's super solid. This guy, this is, we can increase your efficiency and productivity in these ways. Right. You can promote this person to be your manager. And then over the course of the next 6 to 9 months, let's work on this plan where we get you from 6 days a week to 3 days a week to 2 days a week to 4 hours on Friday morning to have a financial meeting with your manager. Right. And that happened. And when that happened and I saw that gentleman's life completely change, I was like, okay, I got a new goal. I need to find some cats for freedom, Right. And it's the idea that you could put so much into growing a substantial, sustainable business and then in turn find yourself unsustainable. That was the heartbreak, And so it was neat to talk to you guys and see like what's your take on solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, teams, leaders. Because if you don't, we both drink the Maxwell Kool-Aid, right? If you are not actively building leadership, right, then what's your exit strategy? How are you replacing yourself?
Succession planning, right? That's what you helped that gentleman do, is you helped him with his succession planning. He waited too long, but you said, wait, you need to have this exit strategy. You need to, you should have had a succession plan before, but that's okay. Let's work moving forward. And that's a perfect example of why we all do what we do. Yeah. Because you get to see the result out of that from him and see the benefit. Like he probably began to enjoy business again because he was not letting the business work him. Yeah. That's the big difference. He was allowing it to grow. When I do workshops in the power sports field, that's literally one of my promises. I got 3 promises for you. And the last promise I give them is
I'm going to give you an example of my daily life in a dealership back when I ran a dealership. And I'll show you that you can manage your business instead of your business manage you.
That's right.
And you can just feel the bricks fall off of people's shoulders when you say that, right? Because they're thinking they don't even have the time to be in the workshop in the first place. Like they're thinking, I don't know why my boss sent me here. I really don't have the time to be here.
Right.
They hate the idea of being in training. And then you give them, hey, this is what we're going to do over the next 2 days. And you watch them just go,
Yeah, right.
And then to see the results 3, 6, 9 months down the road, that's the reward for me, right? And I can tell by talking to you guys and the light in your eyes that you guys are of the similar strain, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Seeing that result, seeing the success. Now, they have to work it.
They do, yeah.
And they know it because that's where the accountability comes in, right, Kurt? But that's why we drive them. And we tell them, like you said right from the beginning, listen, we're going to drive you. We're going to push you. We're going to hold you accountable, because when that time comes and you start to see the tangible, you're like, this is why. And that is exactly what we thrive on, the aha moments.
Right.
And every interaction we have with our clients and our partners is where's the aha moment? It's going to come and you're just waiting for it. We can have an hour coaching session with somebody and we're working through it. And all of a sudden it's there. And then we said, that's it. This is exactly why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And that's when you say, time's up, write the check. We're out of here.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Nice. So you guys are in North Carolina, right?
Right.
Yes, we're in the Raleigh-Durham area, or kind of like RTP area, Raleigh Triangle.
Well, I'm sure you guys have figured out, I consider myself a web expert, right? I'm an expert in learning and management websites and learning, membership, all of that stuff, e-commerce. And so once you're online, you're not tied to your state. So I understand that you guys would have, a national, if not international client base or partner base. But talk to me about serving your region. Is that something that is popping off the charts to you? And I should clarify, we're in the middle of a COVID crisis, right? So I don't know what your business looked like pre-COVID, during COVID, and what it might look post-COVID. Sure. I want to value your time, but if you could kind of describe that a little, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, pre-COVID, we were definitely ramping up and really was about getting to know who were the players within the area and the influencers, who are the movers and shakers, to align ourselves with those type of individuals, right? To get us on the right path. So, and we did. I mean, we really worked hard in the first year of our business, and to really try to get ourselves out there and say, well, who is the Lou Everett Group, right? And I was like, oh, those John Maxwell speakers, now it has flipped, because we have created our own events, we have created our own resources, we have created our own our own flair, our own experience,
our own method, our method is called the empowerment method, and we've actually created our own method of coaching and training too. So.
Yeah.
And we share that to many people. And we had our own events where we had a food and thought evening, which grew from
free. It was free to draw people in and to talk to people, give them some teaching, and then have some networking piece component to it.
But the kicker, what that we enjoyed most, was that we would connect with local businesses and restaurants that could hold, if they had like a small private room, so to speak, or maybe a semi-private room.
So you can bring them business.
People, so they would get the foot traffic in. Plus, people would have a meal, or even if they just want an appetizer or a cocktail or something, they're paying patronage to the space, and it really is a win-win situation. So we would do a teaching, and a good 45-minute of a teaching of something to give. And even if you didn't want whatever that was, the next session or the next level, so to speak, to move on with, let's say, personal development or the leadership aspect, they at least walked away with something. Yep. And that's all that we really care about. We are definitely people-centric and people before profits. We are very passionate about that for a few reasons, but because we've lived on both sides of the fence. In that environment. And you got, I believe in the slow brew versus the crash and burn.
Yeah.
And so pre-COVID, we were ramping up there, then COVID hit. But that didn't stop us from being on webinars, being on the virtual sense. So that really didn't stop us. If anything, it just upped our game more to do more videos, to do our Mindset Minute piece. It kicked us in the a little up to do our online platform that was on the horizon anyway, but that really gave us
gave
the
us
extra.
gave us the space.
Yeah, gave us the space
Right.
to
Talked
do that.
about. Now, see, and she's right. So, you know, pre-COVID, we built our business. We've been in business together since 2005 in businesses. But this one here, we really made it solid. We've been 2 years now, and we ramped up. We actually had clients, and we were really doing well. COVID hit, but we were like, it didn't seem to really affect us. The reason is because we engulf ourselves with solid leaders and other mentors that coach us and train us.
Yeah.
That said, hey, be ready. Because see, as leaders, we need to be prepared for crisis all the time. And so technically, all the years of training that we've had prepared us for that moment when we had to pivot.
Yeah.
And it was very exciting, to be honest. It's like we've been trained for this our entire life to make this pivot. And so luckily, we had the online piece already. We were already doing online trainings occasionally. And so we just went ahead and said, what can we give more of during this time?
Yeah.
And then we then began giving. We have right away, we offered a free mastermind for anyone who wanted to join. And we did that for 8 weeks. We went ahead and did some, if you want us to come speak, we'll come and speak at you, no cost. We did that and to get to know people, to give back to people. And then during that space and that time, we were able to develop our online training platform, the Mastermind Alliance. We've been able to then partner strategically with experts in the field of diversity and inclusion to help us with that, to help give back there. It's what you invest in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we invest in people. And there's no crisis that can ever happen that is going to keep us from giving back to people. We even joined a local group here in Durham that we've been asked to help to sponsor the Connect Ed networking events where we're connecting the community together. It's a community-based focus. And so we're giving back there too. There's always ample opportunity for us as leaders during times like this to give back and to help people. We've been preparing for this our whole life. So yeah, that's where we are. And we're very excited about where we are. We've been able to build our client base, help them.
Just being consistent.
Being
I know
consistent.
that's
really
a big word. A lot of people are they fall off the map, right?
Consistent.
Being consistent.
Don't go dark.
Yeah, don't go dark.
Just work hard. Use your resources to keep building, right? Reach out to people like you, Kurt, and us, and that can help you strategically place yourself in a place where a crisis like this will not affect you so much so that you go dark and then have to revamp again.
Yeah.
That's really ultimately what we do. As long as we're giving back to people and staying focused to that image, holding your image is the big part of it.
Yeah. And so much of what you guys said resonates with, don't go dark, stay active, be the leader. And I think one of the important things to touch on is that it's okay to make a mistake or have to adjust too. And I think that's where a lot of leaders kind of get lost or confused, right? It's like, hey, you know what? It's going to be okay. If I gotta adjust my rudder 5 or 6 degrees, at least the boat's still going in a direction.
That's right.
Right? And so, as soon as the crisis hit in my particular niche, I jumped on the internet right away and I said, hey, we are in an essential business. You guys are still open in most of the states, right? Every distraction that Americans have had with restaurants and bars and professional sports is closed. And so chances are, being an essential business and a recreation-based business, your business is going to go up. Prepare and train your people for increased floor traffic.
That's right.
Everybody said I was nuts. Everybody said I was crazy. And now the power sports business has had probably its best 9 months out of the last decade.
Awesome.
Makes perfect sense. People have the space. They had the space. They had the time. I got to go out and be active. I've got to go out and do this, right? Because people get, and it's being able, like you said, to see that, and you can't see that unless you step back as a leader and look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah. And if you're stuck
Right.
in the fight, if you're in the battlefield, you don't see it. You're just trying to struggle. You're going, man, we're so busy. I don't know why we're so busy. And every day becomes survival instead of
Right.
strategy.
That's
Right.
right.
And
Yeah.
so now I've changed my message and I've said, okay, your sales department has had a killer 6 months.
Yeah.
All those fresh relationships need maintained. And when they come to the service department, you have to train your service people to know how to deal with all these new customers.
Mhm.
But it's
That's exactly
it's interesting. We touched on it at the beginning of the conversation, and here we are kind of wrapping up. And I want to value your time, but it's where you say, not convincing, but demonstrating, showing people the benefit of the development.
Mhm.
And I've actually switched up some of my messaging. It's not so much about all the stuff you can gain. Now it's almost become a conversation of, hey, don't lose what you've already built. Like,
That's it.
because sometimes people are more afraid of losing something than they are excited about gaining something.
That's right.
Right.
And they hold on to it. It's like you're
Yeah.
afraid, right? So you don't move. You just hold on to it for dear life.
Yeah.
Then it's like holding on to the seeds you never plant. You're not gonna, they're gonna be seeds. They're not gonna grow, right? You're not gonna get anything at the end if you hold on to it. You've got to maintain. It's a good point.
Nice. Well, folks, again, like I said, I wanted to value the time that the Lou Everett Group gave to us today. Sherri and Lou, I've had a fantastic time. I've really enjoyed it.
We did too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
If you want to get in touch with the Lou Everett Group or you're interested in any of their programs, we will have links in the descriptions, and you'll also see things on the screen here in my post edit. So follow up with them, get in touch with them, and folks, you just have a fantastic day. Let's give them all a big wave.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.